In our everyday lives, our neighbors are often a source of comfort and community. We live side by side, sharing fences, sidewalks, and the occasional friendly wave as we leave for work in the morning. We might borrow a cup of sugar, ask them to watch our house while we're on vacation, or chat about the weather over a shared backyard fence. This sense of trust is a fundamental part of a functioning society. It makes our neighborhoods feel safe and welcoming. We rely on this unspoken agreement that we are all in this together, looking out for one another in small, simple ways that build a strong local bond. This is how we are taught to live, and for the most part, it works beautifully. This daily trust extends beyond just simple favors. We see our neighbors' children playing in the street and feel a sense of shared responsibility for their safety. When a local event happens like a block party or a yard sale, we come together as a group. We know their routines, their cars, and maybe even the names of their pets. This familiarity creates a bubble of security around our homes. We assume that these good people, who are so friendly and normal today, will be the exact same people tomorrow, next week, and even during a crisis. It's a natural assumption, built on years of positive interactions and the stability of modern life. The problem is that this comfort is based on a world where everything is working correctly. The grocery stores are full, the power is on, and the water flows from the tap without any issue. Our trust in our neighbors is supported by a massive, complex system that ensures everyone has access to their basic needs. We trust them because they have no reason to be untrustworthy. Their pantries are stocked from the local supermarket just like ours. They have jobs to go to and paychecks to collect. In this environment of abundance and order, being a good neighbor is easy and beneficial for everyone involved. We let our guard down because there is no apparent threat. This relaxed attitude is completely normal and in a stable world, completely healthy. Nobody wants to live in a state of constant suspicion, viewing every friendly face as a potential future threat. Building a strong community is a positive goal, and having good relationships with the people who live around you makes life more pleasant. We share information freely, talking about our new generator, the extra food we bought on sale, or the water filter we just installed. We do it to be friendly, to share our successes, and to connect with others. But what we don't realize is that we are painting a target on our own backs for a future that might look very different from today. Now, imagine a different world. A major disaster has struck. It could be a powerful hurricane, a widespread electrical grid failure, or a sudden economic collapse. The systems we rely on every single day have vanished overnight. The grocery store shelves were emptied within hours. The water no longer runs from the taps, and the reassuring hum of electricity has been replaced by an unnerving silence. The world that once supported our comfortable lives is gone. In this new reality, the rules have changed dramatically. The trust that was once the foundation of your neighborhood can quickly become your greatest liability, a dangerous weakness you can't afford. Your neighbors are likely in the same situation as everyone else, unprepared. Most people live with only a few days' worth of food in their homes. They have no long-term water storage, no alternative power source, and no plan for what to do when the trucks stop delivering supplies. In the first few days, they will be confused and scared. They will hold on to the hope that things will return to normal quickly. But as the days turn into a week, and then longer, that hope will fade. It will be replaced by a much more powerful and primal emotion, desperation. Their children will be hungry, their elderly parents will be thirsty, and fear will grip their hearts. This is the point where your past friendliness and openness become a serious danger. Every conversation you had about your preparations is now a piece of critical information in the hands of desperate people. They remember you talking about the generator you bought last year. They remember you joking about having enough canned food to survive for months. They know you have a well in your backyard or a large water tank. In the old world, this information made you seem smart and prepared. In this new, broken world, this information makes you a target. You are no longer just the friendly, prepared neighbor. You are now a warehouse of life-sustaining resources. The people you once trusted are now faced with an impossible choice. Do they watch their own families suffer from hunger and thirst, or do they approach the neighbor who they know has everything they need? At first, they might ask nicely, they might beg. But what happens when you say no because you only have enough for your own family? What happens when their desperation grows stronger than their sense of social decency? The trust you built is now a roadmap leading directly to your front door, and the people following it are motivated by the most powerful drive of all: the will to survive. Let me tell you a story about two men, Mark and David. They were good neighbors, living in houses side by side for over a decade. Mark was a prepper. Quietly and carefully, he had spent years building up a supply of food, water, and essential gear for his family. He never talked about it. David, on the other hand, was a friendly, outgoing guy who lived in the moment. He figured things would always be fine. One sunny Saturday afternoon, while they were both doing yard work, David noticed Mark installing a new, high-quality lock on his basement door. "Getting pretty serious about security, aren't you?" David joked. Mark, not wanting to be rude, just smiled and said, "You can never be too careful. Just storing some important things down there." That single, innocent conversation was a critical mistake. A few months later, a severe ice storm hit their region, causing a massive, long-term power outage that lasted for weeks. The roads were impassable and supply chains collapsed. For the first few days, everyone managed. But by the end of the first week, David's family had run out of food. The stores were empty and looted. David, his wife, and their two young children were cold, hungry, and terrified. David's mind kept returning to that Saturday afternoon conversation. He remembered the sturdy lock and Mark's vague comment about storing important things. He knew Mark was a practical guy. He put two and two together. One evening, David went over to Mark's house. "Mark, man, we're in trouble," he said, his voice trembling. "We have no food left. The kids haven't eaten all day. Can you please help us? Just a little bit of food?" Mark was in a terrible position. He had his own family to feed, and he knew his supplies were finite. If he gave food to David, he knew David would be back for more, and soon, others might follow. With a heavy heart, Mark had to say no. "I'm sorry, David, I have just enough for my own family. I can't spare anything." He felt terrible, but he knew it was the only way to protect his own children. David left, his face a mask of disbelief and anger. The friendly neighbor he had known for 10 years had turned him away. That night, the desperation won. David, along with two other neighbors he had told about his suspicions, decided to take what they needed. They broke into Mark's basement, the one with the new lock, and took a significant portion of his food supplies. Mark and his family were now in a much more dangerous position, with their supplies diminished and their safety compromised. A good man, a friend, had become a threat. It wasn't because David was evil, it was because his children were starving, and he knew where food was. Mark's one small slip in security had put his entire family at risk. It is crucial to understand a fundamental truth about human nature when you think about survival scenarios. The people who might pose a threat to you in a crisis are not necessarily evil monsters. They are ordinary people, just like you. They are mothers, fathers, and grandparents who love their families deeply. They are the same neighbors who might have brought you cookies last Christmas, or helped you jumpstart your car. In a world of law and order, with full bellies and warm homes, their moral compass points true north. They follow the rules, respect others' property, and would never dream of harming anyone. But a long-term disaster changes the very landscape of morality. When the basic necessities of life disappear, a powerful biological imperative takes over. The drive to survive and to ensure the survival of one's children is one of the strongest forces in human psychology. When a father hears his daughter crying from hunger, the social rules that governed his life before the crisis start to seem distant and irrelevant. The abstract concept of property rights means very little compared to the concrete, agonizing reality of his family's suffering. His priorities shift from being a good citizen to being a protector and provider at any cost. This transformation is not a descent into evil. It is a regression to our most basic survival instincts. Think of it this way. A person who would never steal a loaf of bread from a store today might not hesitate to break into a neighbor's house for food if their child was starving. Does this action make them a bad person? In the eyes of the law, in a functioning society, yes, but in the brutal calculus of survival, many would see it as a necessary act. They will justify their actions to themselves, believing they have no other choice. They might even see you, the prepared person hoarding resources, as the selfish one. They have so much and my family has nothing. They will reason. It's not fair. This is why your neighbors are your biggest threat. It's not because they secretly harbor ill will toward you. It's because they are close, they know you, and they will become desperate. A stranger from 2 towns over doesn't know you have a year's worth of food in your basement. but your neighbor, who saw you unloading dozens of boxes and cans from your car, does. Their proximity and their knowledge of your life make them a potential danger. Understanding that their actions will be driven by desperation, not malice, is key. It allows you to prepare for the threat without hating the people, and to focus on the practical steps needed to keep your family safe. Given the potential danger that even good people can pose when they become desperate, how do you protect yourself? The answer lies in a concept used by the military and intelligence agencies, operational security, or OPSEC. Now, while that might sound complex and honestly a little intimidating, the basic idea is actually pretty simple. OPSEC is the process of protecting small, unclassified pieces of information that, when put together, could reveal a bigger picture that you want to keep hidden. It's all about controlling what other people see and hear about you and your preparations. In a survival context, OPSEC is your first, and arguably most important, line of defense. It's about preventing a problem before it ever begins. Think of your preparations as a puzzle. One piece of the puzzle might be the extra-large vegetable garden you planted this year. Another piece might be the new generator you had installed. A third piece could be the large water tank you placed behind your garage. A fourth might be the fact that you and your family rarely eat out, and you always buy food in bulk. Individually, each of these puzzle pieces might seem harmless, but when a desperate neighbor starts putting them all together, they form a clear picture. Your house is the place to go when the stores run empty. OPSEC is the practice of never letting them collect enough pieces to see that picture. The goal of OPSEC is not to become a paranoid hermit who never speaks to anyone. It's about managing information smartly. It's the difference between being friendly and being an open book. You can still chat with your neighbors and be a part of your community, but you need to be mindful of what you share. The core principle is this: if someone doesn't absolutely need to know something about your preps, they shouldn't know it. This includes your best friends, your extended family, and especially your friendly neighbors. The fewer people who know what you have, the fewer people will come looking for it when times get tough. Effective OPSEC is a silent shield. A strong fence, a reinforced door, and a firearm are all important layers of physical security, but they are all used after a threat has already arrived at your doorstep. OPSEC is the layer that works to prevent that threat from ever identifying you as a target in the first place. If no one knows you have food, no one will come to take it. If no one knows you have medical supplies, no one will bang on your door when their child is sick. It is a proactive strategy, not a reactive one. By practicing good OPSEC now, during times of peace and plenty, you are building an invisible wall around your family that will be more valuable than any physical barrier when a crisis hits. Practicing good OPSEC doesn't have to be complicated. It mostly involves common sense and developing a few careful habits. The first and most important rule is to simply keep your mouth shut about your preparations. This is the golden rule of prepping. Do not brag about your food supply, your water filter, or your new generator. Don't post pictures of your preps on social media or talk about them at work. It may be tempting to share your hard work and knowledge with others, but this is a dangerous impulse. Every person you tell is a potential security leak. They might tell someone else who tells another person, and soon, your private preparations become public knowledge, ready to be exploited in a crisis. Second, you need to be strategic about how you acquire and store your supplies. Avoid bringing a huge haul of groceries into your house in broad daylight for all your neighbors to see. Instead, buy a little extra each time you go to the store. Use opaque bags or boxes to carry items from your car to your house. If you get a large delivery, try to schedule it for a time when your neighbors are likely to be at work. Store your supplies in a location that is not easily visible, like a basement, an interior closet, or a space under the stairs. Avoid using a garage or shed that neighbors can easily see into when the door is open. The goal is to make your home look as unprepared as everyone else's. Third, pay close attention to your trash and your daily routines. Your garbage can tell a story. If you are eating freeze-dried meals, don't throw the empty Mylar pouches into your regular trash where a scavenger could find them. Consider burning packaging if it is safe to do so, or double bag it in black trash bags. During a long-term crisis, be mindful of smells and sounds coming from your home. The smell of you cooking a hearty stew on a wood stove will travel. The sound of a generator running in the dead of night is a beacon. A single light on in a blacked-out neighborhood is a massive signal that you have power when no one else does. Think about light and sound discipline at all times. Finally, Avoid developing patterns that make you stand out. If you are the only person on your street who has a perfectly green lawn during a drought and water restrictions, it suggests you have an independent water source. If you install a large, obvious solar panel array on your roof or a giant radio antenna, you are advertising your capabilities. While these things are excellent tools for survival, they also paint a target on your back. Look for less conspicuous alternatives. Perhaps you can use smaller, portable solar panels that you can set up when needed. Maybe a smaller, more discreet antenna will work. Always think about how your actions and possessions look from the outside. In the world of prepping and survival, there is a concept known as the gray man. A gray man is someone who can blend into any crowd, drawing no attention to themselves. They don't look like a threat, but they also don't look like a victim. They just look average. The same principle should be applied to your home. Your goal is to become the gray house. This means your house should not stand out in any way, especially during a crisis. It should look just as dark, just as quiet, and just as miserable as every other house on the block. Blending in is a powerful form of camouflage that protects you from unwanted attention. To achieve the status of a gray house, you must consciously avoid any signs of prosperity or preparedness when things go bad. If the power is out across the entire city, your house must be dark. This means no lights visible from the outside. Use heavy blackout curtains on all your windows. If you need to use a flashlight or a candle, do it in an interior room with no windows, like a bathroom or a closet. Running a generator is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. The noise can be heard from blocks away and acts as a giant advertisement that you have power. If you absolutely must run one, do it for short, irregular periods and try to muffle the sound as much as possible. Your family's appearance and behavior outside the home are also part of the gray house strategy. If everyone else in the neighborhood is losing weight, looks tired, and is wearing the same clothes for days, your family needs to look the same way. If you are well fed, clean, and full of energy, you will stand out immediately. People will notice. They will start to wonder why your family is doing so much better than theirs. This doesn't mean you have to starve yourself, but it does mean you need to manage your appearance. When you must go outside, look tired. Don't be too cheerful. Your goal is to project an image of shared hardship. This strategy of blending in extends to all your senses. Be mindful of cooking odors. If you are cooking a delicious meal, the smell can travel and attract hungry, desperate people. It's better to eat simple, cold meals or to cook things with very little odor. If you must cook something fragrant, try to do it at odd hours, perhaps in the middle of the night, and ensure your house is sealed up tight to contain the smell. The gray house is quiet, dark, and unremarkable. It offers no clues that it contains people who are comfortable and well supplied. It is the house that looters and desperate neighbors walk right past because it looks just as empty and hopeless as their own. Ultimately, every decision you make about your preparations comes down to one core mission: protecting your family. This is your primary and most important responsibility. In a world without the rule of law, you are your family's sole provider and defender. This can mean making difficult and sometimes heartbreaking choices. The decision to deny food to a desperate neighbor, especially one you have known for years, is a heavy burden to bear. However, you must remember that your supplies are finite. Every can of food you give away is one less can for your own children. Your first duty is to the people who depend on you within your own home. Building a safe and boring image with your neighbors now is a key part of this protective strategy. Be friendly, but be private. When they talk about their new car or their vacation plans, listen politely, but don't feel the need to share details about your own life. Develop vague, non-committal answers to questions. If someone asks what you do for a hobby, say gardening or reading, not practicing long-range marksmanship or canning a year's worth of food. If they ask about your garden, you can say you're just trying it out, even if you have a massive, productive plot. The less they know about your skills and resources, the safer your family will be. Some people argue that the best strategy is to build a community of prepared individuals, a mutual assistance group. This can be an effective strategy, but it requires an incredible amount of trust and vetting. You must be absolutely certain that every single person in your group is reliable, skilled, and mentally stable under pressure. For most people, this is not a realistic option. The safer bet is to prepare for your own family's needs first. Once you are secure and the initial chaos of a disaster has passed, you might be in a position to help others. But you cannot help anyone if your own supplies are stolen in the first week because of poor OPSEC. Secure your own oxygen mask first. In the end, silence and caution are your greatest assets. The quiet prepper who no one suspects is in a far better position than the one with a fortified compound that everyone knows is full of supplies. Your preparations are your family's lifeline in a world turned upside down. Guard the knowledge of that lifeline as fiercely as you would guard the supplies themselves. By being discreet, blending in and understanding the powerful force of human desperation, you can navigate the dangers of a crisis. Your ultimate goal is not to be a hero or a community leader in the chaos. It is simply to ensure that your family survives, and that begins with being the quiet, invisible, and gray house on the block.